What is up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Camera Junkie livestream. My name's Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you, as always, to upgrade your skills before your gear. If it's your first time here, let me get these words out. If it's your first time here, welcome. Please be sure to introduce yourself into the chat so you can get your nice Camera Junkie Crew welcome, and you might even get your comments up on screen. And as tradition goes around here, the first thing that we always do is go ahead and check out to see who are the first members of the crew hanging out in the chat. See who are the early junkies. And right off the bat, well, actually, let's go to that next scene, right? And we have Parker Jennings in the house saying hello to everyone. Excuse me. And we also have Gretchen in the house saying hi to the crew, saying happy Saturday to you. It is the end of August. It is August 30th. We have Randy as well saying hello to everyone. And guys, I'm hoping September's better. that's all I'm hoping right now, because this month has kicked my butt. I've learned a lot of new things, especially having to do with my father's health, and it's just been a constant roller coaster. I can't even begin to tell you, because it's just been so much. And well, I'm just glad to be hanging out here right now with you guys, and not having to worry about it. But in that same intel, I gotta tell you, today, this is a mulligan. Like, I have not had the ability to set anything up, so we're going live and we're just winging it. Yeah, Labor Day weekend says hope you have moved completely. And no, that's why I said that we're just winging it, because you brought it up exactly, Randy. um I'm not done moving. I've been trying to finish up, and it's just been challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge, and I just don't want to be a contrarian, or feel negative, but it's only so much, right? So to explain, and not to just kind of like rant off, but um this was my last weekend, right? So I'm scheduling everything to the T so that I can make sure that I have as many trips as possible. What I did last night, right, was I set my father to bed. I set Aiden to bed, and then I started, and this was like at 12:20, 12:30 a.m. that I was able to like be in the vehicle and start driving to my apartment. And I successfully did that. I made it over there just, a little bit past the hour, right? And I started loading the entire vehicle up. And it took me a lot longer. It was a lot of the hanging things that I had mentioned before. So I'm taking down all types of shelves, everything like that, stuff that you might be seeing, coming out in the future over here, like my floating Sony Alpha sign and things like that. So I might be throwing the floating shelf right up there and having the lights come down. But I also have a cool idea for what I want to do with the Ecamm sign, which I'll share with you in a moment. I'll actually grab the old one and better explain what I want to do. So going back to the move, right? This is my plan. I was like, okay, so I'm gonna do that. And I was down there in the apartment late last night, and I load the vehicle up. And by the time that I finish loading the vehicle up and taking down all the shelves and doing everything that I needed, I'm headed back to this apartment. It was like 4:35, 4:40 in the AM. So I'm like, this is the plan. I have the vehicle loaded, but I need to make a trip tonight as well. But I wasn't going to begin to start unloading the vehicle at that time. So I just decided, I drove back over here to this apartment. Once I got here, I left the vehicle nice and packed full of, full of goodies, so to speak. And I just left it downstairs. I parked it, and I took a shower and went to bed. Wake up today, and I'm in the mix of doing everything, and I'm just like doing all of the things that I need to do, both with my father today in the gold class, and just doing everything that's necessary. And the plan is to, as soon as like the class is over, the gold group, that I was able to just unload the vehicle, do the live stream, and then as soon as the live stream's over, get ready to do the same thing tonight. And that's where we hit another snag, because even though I was able to do a lot of things, I still have like the refrigerator over there, the TV. I need to like clean out the bathroom, right, and all the things, like all the chemicals side. So I'm ready to go with boxes, but I needed to, at this time when we're live on the live stream, to have an empty vehicle for all of this to work out. And when I had the chance to unload the vehicle today here at the apartment, the elevator breaks. So now I'm required to take every piece that I would be rolling in a cart up the stairs one by one. And there was no way I had the energy. I loaded up one cart before I realized that the elevator was bad. And because that was just my mentality, I wasn't expecting the elevator to be broken. So I walked downstairs with the cart, I unfold it, I load it up from the vehicle so it's nice and full, and then I walk to the elevator and press the button, and that's where I'm at a standstill. So I had the decision. I was like, okay, am I either gonna, hoof what I have in this cart upstairs by hand, or am I gonna load it back in the car and try to figure out what's the next step? Because without an elevator, it's gonna kind of put a huge damper on the process. And that's exactly where we're at. I took everything out of the car and I decided, let me just take it upstairs. And it took 5, 6 trips from the car up the stairs. And thank God that I'm just on the second floor. So, but still, it took so much out of me comparative to being able to just move everything from location to location and expend my energy in a longer form. It's almost like miles per gallon comparative, and going up the stairs piece by piece is like flooring it at 120 and just using up all the fuel. And by the time I just finished that one cart, I was sweating so hard. I was like huffing and puffing. I just couldn't do it. So that put a huge damper, and that's exactly where I'm at right now. I have a car loaded with things here in Coral Springs. Just so much like that, the words. So I have my car loaded up right now in Coral Springs, but I have no way of emptying it, because I literally, if I try to do it by by foot and through the stairs, it's gonna take everything out of me, and I'm not gonna have the energy to make another drive tonight. So I'm like at a dead halt. I'm gonna try to empty out the vehicle because that is the next step, no matter what. But I doubt that I'm gonna have the energy to go back down there and finish off the job, especially like empty out all of the stuff from inside of the refrigerator into boxes, and then the refrigerator itself, then unmount the television, and then start the cleaning process, and then the only time that I have left is tomorrow, which it was supposed to be like just patching up all of the holes, patching up all of the holes, and then painting over it, which is just to leave it there. So that's exactly where I'm at. Yes, exhausting. I said exhausting was like last month. I don't. I think they're still making up a new word for what I feel right now. I literally feel like I'm an iPhone that's running at 20% and I'm in the low power mode. I'm on the yellow. That's what I feel like. And like whenever I go to sleep, it's just like a boost to get me to like 25, 30% before I'm back at it. I see Randy says, leave the refrigerator at the old place. I would, but I kind of need it for my dad, because that was the plan. So instead of me having to go back and forth for every little thing that he would need or want from the refrigerator, like we're doing now, which is just like a tedious back and forth, just and his memory is not the greatest right now, so it sucks that, you know, like he asked me like, oh, what's available, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to go just try to show him everything that we have, when it's just it's just a tough road right now with that. So the plan is to bring the refrigerator and put it in his, you know, hospital suite, VIP suite that we got building over there. So that is the plan, and that's why I'm not gonna leave it. But it's also about like the security deposit, not trying to pay extra money for another month, and at the same time you leave it, you know, in good enough condition where I get my security deposit back. It's not, that's like another paying like another month's rent. But that's exactly where we're at. I'm not trying to dwell on it, but that's exactly where I got stuck today. I'm supposed to have an empty vehicle and getting ready to take another trip tonight, to do that with, you know, time and ease. And now I'm gonna try to somehow pack it all into Sunday and try to make 2 trips, which is like, but that's the plan. I can't change it, and we're gonna be playing it by ear. So wait till next week, until the next episode, to see exactly what did happen, you know. And yeah, but I'm fatigued, tired, exhausted, and fatigued. Maybe a compound word of those two, right? But I feel it in my chest, and it's like it's desaturated in oxygen, because I feel like every breath is, I'm not getting enough of what I need. But we'll see what we do, Randy. The refrigerator is not a bad idea, except that we kind of need to use it, because it'll be kind of like they run $300-400, right? Well, we'll see what we do. But there is something else that I did want to mention. It says, can my sister help me move? Uh nah, not really. The only thing she could do is help me, you know, like watch Aiden or something, but that's minuscule, because he'll just be in the front seat or anything like that if necessary, you know, as far as tomorrow goes. You know, and when he's sleeping, he's not really doing much. So, but yeah, and everything that my father needs done, it requires quite a level of physicality, you know, to pick him up and move him around and things like that. That it's something that my sister's probably not going to be capable of doing. And the fact that she hasn't even done it before, so not that she wouldn't be capable, but she wouldn't know how to start, because she hasn't seen anyone do it at all. So that's where we would be at. But I did want to bring something else up as far as that. Yeah, like I had mentioned, the floating shelf, right, that I have in the car and that I want to bring over. Underneath that floating shelf is where I have one of the Govee lights. So that's something that I'm probably just gonna throw right over there and right over this pegboards. But that Ecamm sign, the one that I had before, I have a new idea, so I'm gonna share it with you guys. So check this out. This is the Ecamm sign that I'm talking about now. This is the old one. This is the one from the previous location. But I'm gonna show you how, like, I have it or had it in the back set up to light it up. So I have a USB set of LED like strip lights, and all I did was like wrap it around this makeshift box that I made out of foam core, and you can see it's just stuck on there with hot glue, and it served its purpose at the time. It did okay, right? But I wanted to step it up to the next level, And one thing that I did do was step up to the Govee lights. Right? Let me see. I should have one around here. Yeah. So I stepped up to these Govee lights, and these are very powerful. So what I decided is that I'm gonna merge the two, and instead of using the strip light, I'm going to use a Govee light as like a lamp and build it in here, so that then that light is going to shine throughout the back of this. But at the same time, this system, right, with the LED lights just being exposed, even though it worked okay, is actually not the best to give like the halation or to give like a glow for any aspect like that. So, oh my god, you guys are freaking amazing. Oh, Gretchen just super chatted, says maybe this can help towards a U-Haul truck or some other cleaning help. You guys are awesome. Oh, you guys are the best. Look, Randy also super chatted, says ditto, great. Get a U-Haul and make one trip. That's actually a pretty good idea. Like we could rent that, and that will definitely go to it. So I will keep you guys updated. You guys are amazing. You guys are the best. Love you guys. So um back to this. So one thing that I wanted to do was my skills have been upgraded quite immensely since I was messing with foam core and this. So my plan, my idea is, like I said, to throw the Govee light in the back, but I want to get a much better glow, a much better halation of the light, so that when I switch colors and things like that, it shows up very well on camera. And I want to use that space right there. Like I want to address it correctly and get it just a little bit higher where my hand is right now, right? So put it right there. And like I was saying, my skills have upgraded. So the plan is I'm going to make a lamp shade, and I'm going to make a lamp holder. But the plan is that I'm going to rotate it. So this is how just my mind works. Imagine just a simple round shade, right, on a lamp. Right now, let's put a top and bottom on that simple, like just round lampshade, and you would have a cylinder. So a lampshade is basically just a hollowed out cylinder. In this case, we're going to make it out of plastic PLA, and I'm going to make it out of a transparent or maybe even a white, because white actually glows very well from a lot of the other lampshades in my experience. So I'll probably go with just one layer of white, and I'm going to make the lampshade, but instead of having it like horizontally rotate the light, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lampshade in CAD and I'm going to flip it on its side. So it's going to be like a wheel. And now because it's plastic, I'm going to make a mount at the bottom of said wheel, right? And that mount is where we're going to put this light bulb. So imagine the cylinder on its side, kind of like a drum, right? And that drum is going to have holes, or like, yeah, like little knobs for me to be able to place that onto the wall, right? And I'll be able to just like tack it on there, and then it will be a lamp. And then the top end of the other shade is going to be the Ecamm cover, right? And I'm gonna use this as like the topper. So facing off of the wall, instead of it being round horizontally, it's going to pop out the same way that the Ecamm logo is, like if this was a cylinder coming straight out. So I'm just gonna build the cylinder out this way, but on the back side of here, right, in plastic PLA, I'm gonna put the mount here, right? And then that mount is going to be able to attach to the wall. It's going to give me good distance. The light is going to bounce off of the white, so the light coloring should, should even out, and give a good glow evenly all the way around it, and also allow me to basically put like foil on both sides so that it could be reflective even more, and all the lumens that would be lost hitting this will still project outwards and get a nice glow the same way you would get from a lamp, and it will be completely controlled, much better with the Govee system. It will just be like a lamp, and that's the plan to do it. And now I have the 3D printers and everything to be able to make that happen in no time. You know, making a cylinder in CAD is probably one of the easiest things to do. Yeah, I can do, you know what, that might be something that we just do right now and do it on the fly. Exactly. So let me guess, you're gonna 3D print a holder for the light on the back of the sign. Exactly. And the plastic and everything's gonna make it glow. I've actually already made a couple of different lamps. Let me see if I can share that with you guys. Hold on. I'm in preview mode. Let me see. Edit. I don't have anything open. I have that. Let's minimize that. Let's bring this over here. We have a black screen. I know you guys aren't seeing. This is producer mode. Right now I'm building up the next scene. But what was I gonna open? Don't lose focus, Lewis. Oh, FreeCAD. Okay, FreeCAD's open. Okay. Let's publish that. Bam. Okay, so now you guys are seeing me in FreeCAD. Let me make this a bit smaller. Oh, locked. Let me see. Actually, this is a pretty good spot. I'm just gonna make myself a bit smaller. Excuse me. Ooh. All right. Let's lock that down. Okay, this is FreeCAD. What I want to show you is that I made a couple of I made a wall sconce basically, and I made a couple of different shades for it. So let me go back to start. We'll open this one as well, and I'm gonna, let me see. You guys have probably seen this, but go to my FreeCAD. I think I put it under wall sconce, right? Base. Bam. This is opening up as well. Where's my file? Okay. This is just a basic lampshade, but I wanted to basically show you because the base is important. Let me see if we can fit all. I'm going to close this out again. Let's just open up FreeCAD again. What happened to my file? Is it? Oh, it was just hidden. God, sometimes I'm like, where's my file? Okay, so this is the base. Let me go back over here, open this one as well, and open this one as well. Perfect. Okay, so this is the base that I created in CAD. It's very simple. Just want to show you. It's basically like 56 millimeters off of the wall, right? We have just a basic hole. And that hole, it was the perfect size for these little light fixtures that I found in the hardware department at Walmart a long time ago. So I had just created my own basically lamp fixture, where it was just the simple like socket for any light bulb with a simple switch, click click, on and off, right, with just a cable. So even though I knew this was going to be supporting the weight of that, I didn't want it to be able to be easily yanked down from the cable itself to be pulled on it. That's why I created these two little like hooks here at the bottom, right? Because this is just my mind engineering. So these little hooks here at the bottom, what they did is that they allow me to basically put in the cable from the bottom of it horizontally, right? And then slide it vertically. And as you can see, when you slide it vertically, the top one hooks from the right to the left, the bottom one hooks from the right to the left, right? Or from the right to the left and the left to the right, that one. and now it actually holds the cable, so if you were to accidentally yank on it, it's not going to pull it directly from the source, which is the circle here. So that was supported, and this was the base, and I 3D printed one out and it worked perfectly. That one lives in Aiden's room. So then I just took the same diameter of the hole itself and the fixture that I found at Walmart, and I created the first wall shade, which was this one. And I just kind of created like a theater style shade, right? The size at the bottom is exactly the same, right? So that just fits on top. And I just created like a funnel, a cone of the light shape that you would get from like theater lights, right? And that's the style that I wanted to give. So I quickly realized that if I were to complete the entirety of the cone, it will then be lopsided, right? Because there's this exact distance that we can find between the base, right, which is the 56 millimeters here, between the edge of the hole and the wall right there itself. So with this shade, what I did was I measured that distance from the bottom, right, the 56 millimeters, which is the distance between this inner diameter and this line right here, and I sliced everything off of that, which gave this kind of like, you know, weird cut into it. But as you can see, it is perfectly flat and aligned with what would be the said wall, the hypothetical wall that we would have in 3D. And I sent it to print, and I printed it in complete white PLA, and now that lives in Aiden's room and it works perfectly. But my father, I had the other light bulb, so I printed out a second base, but I wanted to kind of like test out my skills and try something a little different, which is when I created this wall sconce shade as well. It basically starts with the same design, the hole to go over the fitting, right? But then this one, I created a much bigger shade, and I just created a huge circle, and the same system applied, right? After the 56 millimeter mark, we cut everything off because it's in the wall. But I didn't want this one to have like a missing area because it wasn't going to be rigid, being more than like half a circle, but like it not having any structural walls to hold both sides together. So I made sure that it had a wall, even though it was going to be pressed up against the wall. And once again, sent it to print. This guy, because it was a lot bigger in diameter, and I designed it that way because when I first printed the first one, I printed it on my A1 Mini. So it's a smaller print bed size, and this one I threw it on the Ender 3, which has a much bigger capacity, especially height wise. So this guy right here, or in this direction, this guy took over 24 hours. It took 24 hours and 18 minutes to print, right? But at the end of the day, a cool thing, which let me take you into a bit of a nerdy side, which is what we call the slicer programs. Now, the slicer programs is what takes the files that I create in FCAD here, and it gets them ready to be utilized in G-code with any 3D printer. So Bamboo Labs and the A1 Mini printers that I have, they actually run off of a proprietary software, but it is a basic clone of this other software called the Orca Slicer, and the Orca Slicer works for the Bamboo Labs and all of the other printers. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna open up this file in the Orca Slicer so that I can show you the cool feature that I was able to do to make this like an official lamp shade, and to finalize with it. So if we zoom in, as you can see, like all of these are basically, they are like it's called the STL file, but it's just like a vector image but in 3D form. So everything is flat and it's just the geometries, and there's no texture or anything added to it. But let me come over here, right? And I'm gonna go to the actual STL file that I took out. So it's wall sconce, right? So it'll be under W. Yep. Okay, so over here, wall sconce base shade 2, right? I'm gonna double click this, and what's gonna happen is Orca Slicer is now opening up. Bam. So now Orca Slicer, oh, it's telling me, oh. Not right now. It was giving me an update, but okay. So this is the shade in the Orca Slicer, and this, because of the size that, as you can see that I built it, fits perfectly on this build plate that here says Creality, and that's the brand of the Ender 3 model. And right there, as you can see, it's basically going edge to edge. This definitely would not have fit into my A1 Mini's print bed, right? Both height and width and everything. So this is exactly it, right? Oh, I moved it and now it's telling me an error because it doesn't fit. I'm just gonna hit Command Z and recenter that. But this is a cool thing about the slicer that, you know, these are some of the features. I'm using a mouse that has the right click capability, but if you're using a trackpad, you know, do it accordingly. So I'm gonna right click on here and I'm gonna put arrange, right? And what it's gonna do is gonna arrange it on the build plate for best like productivity and like the best results. So it twists it sideways, and it's just because it knows the way that the system works, that this would be the best option for it. Now, hold on. Let me adjust this so that you guys can see this is the best. Okay, I'm gonna move my face over to the other side. I'm going to not make this the primary display, but I'm gonna put, what's your Orca Slicer? Okay, that didn't help that much because I'm trying to show exactly what's happening. Okay, on the fly adjustments. Oh, you guys aren't seeing any of this because I'm in preview mode. So, all right, hold on. You guys haven't even seen me like float around there. So just give me a second. I'm setting this up, making sure you guys see what's important, which are the info of the Orca Slicer. Okay, this looks good. Let's publish this. Boom. All right. All right. So now we're seeing over here, right? We're seeing all of the stats and all of the info over here to set up the slicer program. So this is how we're gonna create the G code. So if I zoom in here, right, you're just seeing like the different shades of, or not shades, but like kind of like the polygons or polygons, right? You're just seeing the general shape of the item, but you can see that it's flat. And I don't want flat, especially when we want to, you know, like spread the light, you know, actually use it as a lamp shade. And this is one of the coolest features that's built into Orca Slicer and also into the Bamboo Labs slicer itself, which is a feature that I'm also using for a lot of my rig junkie parts because the finish is just like chez magnifique. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and rearrange this, right? And what you can do is you can hit slice plate, right? and it's going to generate the G code, and it's slicing all the layers of this and getting it ready, and then it's going to show you the finished product. Oh, okay. It's got a couple of things on here that we need to eliminate, which is if we go to others, I have skirt loops, so we're going to turn that to 0, right? We're going to reslice, and we're going to hope for no G code errors, so we have no errors. Now we can create a brim, but because this has such a huge base at the bottom, it's not necessary. So I'm also going to take the brim off here from auto, and I'm going to put no brim, right? And as soon as you make any adjustments, it cancels out the previous G code because it will have to reslice it. So we're going to hit slice plate again and let it generate the code. And now it's not going to have a brim, right? It doesn't have any skirt loops, so it fits on the plate. We have a full G code. And what it allows you to do is that it allows you to see every step of the process. So I'm able to bring this down and see exactly how this is going to print layer by layer. And I literally do mean layer by layer, right? And if we zoom in here, you can see exactly what it will be printing, like I'm saying, layer by layer, and how it would be doing so. And if we want to get to the nitty gritty, right, and we're like, I want to see exactly how, we have the ability to see exactly the toolpath of every layer, right? And it's going to show you exactly how it's going to add everything on there. So that's how detailed you can get with these slicer programs. So now, why do I mention this? Because right here in this same area, I'm going to keep scrolling down, and there's this little thing right over here called fuzzy skin, right? And right now it says none, but I'm going to switch that to contour. And once again, once you make any changes, it's going to you're gonna need to reslice everything. And now that we're zoomed in, I'm gonna reslice it, right, to show you the difference of what this actually does. This fuzzy skin is really cool. And now, as you can see over here in these parameters, you have the ability to adjust the size of the slice, so to speak, or the fuzzy skin point distance and the thickness, which really changes the characteristics on how smooth or how gritty this could be. But this is the difference. Now take a look at the edge, right? I'm really zooming in here, but look at the edge, and it creates this fuzzy exterior on the outside. Like all of the interior structure, all the red stuff, right, it stays the same. But this orange area here, which is the outside skin, right, the yellow line is the interior. As you can see, it looks like it's protruding and it's bubbling out, because that's exactly what the fuzzy skin aspect does, right? As you can see, that yellow line or the orange line on top of the yellow. So now I'm gonna zoom out a bit of the slicer, and I'm now gonna bring up the layers so that you can see the difference that it has created. Now the G code has expanded a lot more because it's a lot more to do, but the final product is incredible. Like, let me see if we can keep zooming in here, right? Look at the texture that you're building on the outside. And it's really cool because it's very similar to what you would get on a ruffle on a lampshade. So it's almost ideal for this output. So with this, right, slicing, we just look, I think my face is over it right now. Hold on, let me move my face again. Let's publish here, move my face. Right up here, right, is showing me the time for the print, and it's saying the total time, 1 day, 2 hours and 57 minutes. And that's the way that it's said right there. It's pretty incredible. But that's how long this shade took. But now, you know, it was still quicker than Amazon. So I was able to 3D print this lampshade and everything like that now exists in my father's room. And it's a lot of fun. So with this same concept, I want to basically create this same exact design almost, right? But instead of the hole being in this direction right here or at the bottom, right, we're gonna flip it on its side, and I'm gonna now place the hole on this flat area, hypothetically. But it's not going to be flat, it's gonna be full circle, and the lampshade is gonna be built like that in the donut style, so to speak, and this light bulb is going to live in the center of that donut. And I'm going to then put the back against the wall, which is going to live right back over here, and then the missing piece will be the eCam cover on top. Once I light the bulb, the fuzzy skin with the white PLA should diffuse the light balanced evenly around this, and because it's got the nice round shape, it should be distributed that way. And with a little bit of foil on both sides, like I said, to maximize the output of lumens, this is going to be like the best eCam like lamp that I can make. And that's the idea with the 3D printing and the fuzzy skin and the whole thing is just upgrading my skills step by step and using these things to better out and customize things like never before. I just absolutely love the fact that I've been able to customize everything with 3D printing, which I guess is today's theme, right? And let me give you a little bit more information. Let's go to the next scene, right? Where's my mouse? Okay, let's go to the B shot. All right. So this is my behind the scenes, guys. What's up? And this is actually, this information is incorrect. This is not the Sony A6100. Let's swap that out. Or just turn that off real quick, though, to start right. Boom. That's incorrect information. What you're looking at right now is actually my A7C Mark II, and it's being connected via HDMI to the cam link. Now, this cable that you can see hanging off of the side of my cage is basically the only external cable throughout this entire setup, because I've been able to 3D print clips and guides for all of my cables. So I'm like ecstatic that I don't have a mess of cables. I have my two cable setups here, which are connected to my power, like my power converter, and those are for my phones that are sitting right here. See, right? So those are for my iPhones that are just there on the side, but they're always here, like facing me, right? So that's where I have it. I have monitor 1, 2. We have camera A with the teleprompter in the back, and I have my light coming off from the side. And that's not on a, like, it's not on a C stand or anything. That's just off of the wall. So that's coming indirectly, and I'm shooting the light into the background, which is why you're seeing everything, brighten up. So instead of a softbox, I actually don't need it with this setup, because I put enough space between me and the back wall that before everything was pressed up, and now I'm able to bounce the light and it falls off so like gently that it's just working perfectly. And the Ulanzi light here to do the filling in of the rest, it's almost as if I don't even have this structure here, and it just feels like I just have like a nice white light blanketing me, almost like the white room in the Matrix. But I also have this set up here, and with HDMI cable, I built the cable into it. So now I can easily switch out any camera to be my B camera, because it's just connected to a USB or HDMI, listen to me, USB, an HDMI port that I built into the side of my rig. And the cool part is that with enough slack of HDMI cable that I have, that basically turns into a floating camera. And I'm going to demonstrate that right now by pulling it closer and demonstrating all of these things in a much higher detail. All right, so let's do it. All right. Well, I got to go to autofocus. Hold on. Okay, autofocus, engaged. All right, so this is my setup now, as you can see, and just to better show you, that's how I have the HDMI connected, and it's just like built directly in and all cable managed. And what I was able to do was to 3D print these clips that now exist and live easily within my IKEA set. So I was able to print out a variety of different. Oh, what happened to me? Hold on, guys. Let me go back. Go back to camera A real quick. Okay, let's go back to it. Oh, that's where the preview mode kicked my butt right there. I had thought I had switched scenes, but I didn't. Okay, let's go back to the shot that I thought we were not at, but we were. But I digress. All right. So now, what I wanted to show you was under my desk, which is what I'm most proud of. As you can see right over there, I printed out some more of those clips, and all of my cables are now routed through it. So there is no mess of cables under my desk. And I was able to take my little IKEA system here, the SCADAS boards that I had created from before that I'm no longer using, and I created a little cover, which I'm pulling off now, to show you the actual cables that live back there. See? But what I did was I created this cover, and now that lives there. Bam, just like that. And that's the underside of my desk, which I'm very proud that is not full of cables. And the same thing with my top side. Actually, let's go back to camera A. Say, I'm gonna move my monitor. I'm gonna go back to it. The same thing here, as you can see, on the insides, I just have all of my cables managed oh so tightly all throughout. And what I'm really liking about this system that I created with the different size clips more than anything is that previously I was using conduits, and the conduits were just one size, and when they would be full, you couldn't fit any more cables. And if you wanted to switch out one cable out of the entire group, you would have to open the entire conduit, and then that conduit would, it would just be a pain. And that was what we were used to. But I used the system that I have here with IKEA and the variety of different little peg style holes that are built in through the system, and created the different size clips from 19 millimeters, 25 millimeters, and 30 millimeters, right? And that was the variation. And what did is that it allowed me to build like a step program, a step tier program with all of the clips, so that At the bottom where I had the majority of the cables, I was using the biggest clips to keep everything united, right? And those are 30 millimeters. And then as they started to get spread out, right, as everything does, you have less cables to manage the higher that you go up. So once I got to the desk level, there was less cables, and those utilized the 24 millimeter clips, right, to keep everything organized. Once the televisions and everything were connected, and now we're just up to the highest level, that's when I made the 19 millimeter clips to just finalize the last couple of cables to make sure that they are, you know, like nice and tidy. And the best part is that they're not magnetic, and that they're built into the system so they can actually hold the weight, you know, and like if you pull on them and tug on them, they're not going anywhere. So I'm just like really ecstatic with the way that that turned out, because my desk has never been so neat, and I'm super happy with it. Let me go ahead and put this camera back over here. Okay, I think that was perfect timing, because I think the battery died on the A7C. It didn't overheat because it's completely exhausted. It's dead. So we used it to the max right now. So we did good. All right, let's get back to the chat. See where we're at. Oh wow. Gretchen's telling me to go get some sleep. We still made an hour. It says don't forget to hit the thumbs up on the crew. Yes, please do that. If you're still here, please hit the like button. It's highly appreciated. Like, subscribe, and do all the YouTubery things. All right. K-Walls in the house says, I love the geometry of 3D printing. I absolutely am hooked with the full customization. Like the way that I've been explaining it to everyone is like this. Before, you'd be able to have like an idea and jot it down on a like cocktail napkin, right? And you draw it out because it was just the idea. And the only place that that idea ever lived was in your head or on that cocktail napkin. Now, instead of the cocktail napkin, my whatever idea that my mind could concoct, I'm able to go right into the FCAD program and just hash it out. And I've just been surprised, because I think my biggest flex is that lately, with the power of the measuring tools of a caliper and my skills, I've been able to just measure things the first time, and as soon as I print them the first time, they fit to the T. And it's just like, that to me is like so satisfying. I can't even explain it to you. And nailing is almost like getting a home run. It's just like all the stars aligned, everything was perfect. And you know, because you're able to iterate on the process and refine the skills, you're able to go, like, you know, bypass a bunch of the hurdles that you would have in the design process. And because I've done enough design already, that now I'm able to take an idea, like I said, from a cocktail napkin onto FCAD, right on there, and then print it out. And my first print works and does exactly what I wanted to do. Absolutely love it. And that to me is like the biggest dopamine high, and is the coolest thing, and is something that I recommend to everyone. Is if you're a nerd and like to tinker in this aspect, yeah, is the coolest thing. Says my inner math teacher is giddy seeing all this type of stuff. That's so cool. Says this is beyond my kindergarten math. It says sneaking in the back door. How you doing, Paul? Says, hey, Mr. Moderator. It says, make some noise when you sneak in. That's so funny, right? It says, "Oh, Lewis's inner neat freak is coming to play." Absolutely. Like my OCD is I can't wait to show you, because even right now I still have boxes in the back, and once the boxes aren't there, that you'd be able to like walk 360 around my, like my setup. And like I said, the cool part is that, like, even though the camera died, it's just the HDMI connection right here off to the side to the cam link. So anything that I plug into it is there. So it's almost like I have a USB port to eCam, right? For anything that I want built into the side of my rig. Because all I did was just create the extension, and now the 4K HDMI connection is right there. Absolutely love it. And that's something that I was like, hey, you know what? Like, if we're gonna go customize, right? Let's go full customize. And right now, I'm absolutely loving it. Like, everything's been working out. My light fixtures, just, and with 3D printing, I'm gonna show, like, let me see if I can demonstrate this. Let me see how my top view is going. Okay, this is up and running. Okay, right up here, I have a light, right? And let me see if I can show you the light. See if we can. Okay, you see this little light bar, right? I have it connected to the rest. That's why I really can't pull on it. And that's why I said, like, all of these things are very sturdy. Well, this light bar, let me turn it off, right? Came with a set. See if we can really show it to you, right? It came with this thing that I bought called Top Cube, which is for 3D printing. So as you can see, it's hanging right here in front of me as well, like in the bubble shot. So it came with the top cube, and the cube is an enclosure for my 3D printer to keep, like the temperature just right for certain types of materials to get, like nerdy into printing. Well, I bought that, and it's something that could be used, but when it's inside of this cube, it gets really dark. So they provided this LED light bar so that you could actually light everything up. But I'm not using the cube for that aspect, and my 3D printers have their own built-in lights that I've installed. So this wasn't really necessary as an extra light, but I wanted to add it to my setup here, but I really didn't have the way to do it because the clips that it came with to highlight were designed to rotate on a single bar, which is that right there, right? So what did I do? I created this 3D piece, right? And it basically is just a bar. See if we can get into it, right? And from that bar where the clip would live in, right, is just a little mount onto a neodymium magnet. And that's it. And I had the magnets, and I 3D printed this part that I designed, right? And now I'm able to clip this onto the clips that it came with, and now it rotates on that clip. And because my setup is all metal, I'm now able to just stick this onto the top and adjust the light accordingly, so that when I want a top-down shot, I can add some extra light. Bam. And now when I don't want it in my face, right, because it's extra light, I'm able to rotate it out of the way. And I was able to make a simple little customized piece that's something that will absolutely not be found on Amazon at all. But with 3D printing and CAD and upgrading my skills, I'm able to customize my entire setup and really get nerdy with it. I needed that. All right. And there we are. Let me go back to the chat. Gretchen says she's got to go. And yes, so do I. So do we. That's not the one. Said I tried not to knock everything over. This is the one that saying. All right, Gretchen, thanks for stopping by. But guys, that's another thing with my story of not having enough time to even unload the car. Once again, my bad. I don't have a cities GAW that I was able to set up for this week. So that's going to be it for this week's episode. But I want to thank you, as always, for hanging out here and making this my favorite place to be. This was episode 248, and that is 248 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live stream without skipping a beat. And I thank you all for hanging out here and making this my favorite place to be. So if you haven't done so already, like, subscribe, put down on your calendar 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next week, just like every other week for the last how many weeks, right? 248 and counting, on our way to 5 years consecutive of the Camera Junkie live stream every single Saturday night. Now, if you want to find the conclusion of what happens with my moving endeavors and how I'm gonna like rent a U-Haul and try to get the rest of this stuff done for tomorrow, I'm ordering some plaster, right, and a little spatula on Amazon, and that's already being sent over to the apartment so that it's there in the morning, waiting for me so that I can just finish that up as well. And hopefully everything gets resolved by tomorrow. But one way or another, I gotta figure it out, and that's where I'm at. So if you want to find out the conclusion to this story, please make sure to, like I said, like, subscribe, and be here for next week's episode where I will be giving an update on the move. But I'm really hoping September just everything cools down without having to, go from back and forth from that location to this one, and settling everything over here just the same. So see if maybe I can catch a breath, because it's just been tough ever since. So guys, take care of yourselves and each other, and next week we'll have a city's gaw. I'll make sure of it, and I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces as we do it all over again right here next week. So take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you next time. Talk to you.